This is a performance test for the Luxman R1500 for my client Florin, and this was just after a small repair job just to make sure that everything's working properly. So the speaker channel A is hooked up to these two dummy loads. Each one's are 8 ohms. The auxiliary 1 input's being fed in by this 1 kilohertz sine wave with 1 volt peak, and we're going right now. Everything's off and flat. I'm gonna scope it out on the scope. The DC offset was adjusted to almost 0, and this is with the volume all the way down. Looks like both channels have some small 15 millivolts being outputted. This is a little different than my multimeter reading, which read less than 1 millivolt. Okay, so I'm slowly going to turn up the volume here. It's at 0, and we'll take a look at how this is performing. So the should have both channels here, just they're ones on top of each other. Oop. So it looks like both channels are very equivalent to each other. Sine waves looks nice and clean. I'm just slowly turning up the volume. A little bit of difference in the volume between the left and right channel, but there's the concentric controls. It could be that I'm turning them a little unevenly. Okay, we're going to crank this up to clipping and see where they clip. So I'm about halfway up at 12 o'clock on the volume knob right now. It's just past 12 o'clock. Getting about 13 volts out of each channel. Let's keep going. There we go. That's starting to distort there. So roll that back a little bit. And I'll just push it a little past so the yellow clips, okay? Let me take a look at this right about here. This is 23 volts average. I'll do the calculation after, but that's at 8 ohms, so 23 squared divided by 8. We're going to look at the first channel. Oops. First channel, we're going to take a look at the, let me remember how to use this for a second. Math, FFT, that's the Fourier Transform. And let's slow that down. We have 1 kilohertz feeding in. So this is the input. This is at 250, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's your first harmonic, very low. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your next harmonic. That's very low distortion. I'm going to turn the volume down now, and we'll analyze this signal as I turn down the volume. I'm now just below 12 o'clock. So this is functioning fantastic. Now, let's take a look at the other channel. That's yellow, that's your left channel. And again, I'm going to crank this all the way up into overdrive. Let me go back to the source here. Now we're going to be looking at the yellow one. I'm going to crank up this volume. Okay, let's roll it back till about... That looks pretty smooth. Looking at 25 volts average. This is the Distortion Analyzer on channel 2. And let's slow this down again. And here, even close to clipping, this is 1 kilohertz. And at a logarithmic scale, this is the next harmonic. And this is all the distortion in between. This is your next harmonic. And basically what this is saying is your source should be this 1 kilohertz. That's mostly what the amplifier is putting out. There's a bit of distortion. These are, what's the technical name? Inter something distortion. That's between here, and then usually you get multiples of that original 1 kilohertz. This is then 2, 3, 4. So there's a bit more of a spike. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 magnitudes of decibels difference between the two. And again, I'll just turn the volume down so we could see its performance at lower volumes. Here we're at about midnight again on the volume, and now this is at 6 o'clock. Oh, it's not enough for... That's at, yeah, like 6 o'clock. Sorry, 9 o'clock. Let's just auto set that. And looks about as clean as it could be. Check some other frequencies out. Let's go up to 20 kilohertz. That'll be at the peak of the audible spectrum. Looks great. Only small issue is that tiny difference in the volume between the left and right channel. 10 millivolts out of 150. That's less than 10%, but again, these are concentric knobs.